Hi folks, hi friends. I've done some videos in the last couple of days highlighting what is wrong with South Africa. The failure, the abject failure of the African National Congress government. I've even projected that South Africa will be a failed state unless something is done. I highlighted the fact that the Democratic Alliance is not a viable option because they also don't have a plan. I analyzed their so-called 6-point plan for economic growth, which is not an economic growth plan at all. Right? Address the issues that corruption and BE are not the main issues that people need to worry about. What you need to worry about are bad policies, economic and industrial policies, and corruption has nothing to do with that. But with that said, I've realized now, and I've realized in the past, that criticism and opining about how someone else is doing a bad job is a cheap gift to have. Criticism is like an asshole. Every one of us has one. So you have to, after you criticize people, you need to say what it is that you would do differently if you were so privileged to be in a position of power in South Africa, for instance. And pursuant to those goals, I published a series of videos, 6 videos, so to speak, pointing to my fellow South Africans, the things that I were to do if I would do if I were to be in government. And I will link all of those videos in the description below so that you can take time to go through them, listen to the arguments and the rationale behind them, justifications behind them, and the impact that each and every one of them would have on our economy. In this video, I'm just going to highlight what those videos are because they are much more longer in length than this video, so that this can work as an appetizer for you to go watch those videos. It is very, very important to do so. But this is what I would say. Something that needs to be done right away, right now. Which I would say that all of these policy, all of these actions, let's just call them actions. Put aside this issue of policy, because policy can be this like up in the air thing that is not implementable and whatnot, and who needs to implement it. Let's just talk about these actions that need to be done right now. All of them, with the exception of one, would not be possible to implement immediately because it requires the consent and the collaboration and cooperation of 3 or 4 other governments, that is Angola, Botswana, and Namibia. But other than that, all of these action points can be done immediately. Obviously, if they are done immediately, the fruit of these actions can only be seen in a year to 2 years time, because there are projects that need to be built that are going to cost billions of dollars, but they need to be done immediately. No more talk, no more bullshit, no more meetings, no more conventions, no more something. Cut that crap with that stuff. Action. So this is the action that I would take, that I'd say this is action that needs to be taken immediately. Action point number 1. And according to these action points, the links will lead you to the longer video that explains that action further. Building 2 large nuclear power stations. By large, we mean large in terms of megawatt capacity. Each of these power stations would produce 5,000 megawatts. That is more than the size of Kusile or Medupi. One would be in KZN, in the coast of KZN. One would not on the coast, on northern KZN, somewhere around Newcastle, Ladysmith, around that area, just next to the N3. One would be in the Free State, northern Free State, just past Sasolburg towards, or it could even be around Harrismith. That's also fine, but not far from the N3. Both of them will produce 5,000 megawatts. Each of them will create 4,000 direct jobs. Each of them will create 8,000 indirect jobs. In total, both of those two nuclear power stations will create 8,000 direct jobs and 16,000 indirect jobs. For a longer discussion and rationality and a justification for where those numbers come from, go watch the video that is linked below in the description. That is an action that I will take immediately. Obviously, it will take a couple of years to complete them, but there will be construction jobs that will be created that will already be creating employment for thousands of South Africans. Point number 2 is an audacious, probably the largest infrastructure project that has ever been dared or attempted in modern day or democratic South Africa, which is the Angola pipeline to South Africa, which would transport both liquefied natural gas and crude oil to a destination in South Africa around the Northwest Province. That will create thousands of jobs in Angola, thousands of jobs across Botswana for the maintenance of the pipeline, and it will come to Northwest to a build of one of the largest oil and or gas refinery in Africa, to the tune of 400,000 to 600,000 barrels per day of oil or gas per day, creating in the range of 70,000 to 90,000 jobs. This is a large project that can take 5 to 8 years. It is very large, but the refinery could start operating maybe at around year 5, even though it is not complete. But it is a large project. It could take less than that if you get like foreign workers from China and Russia to come and do it in less than 2 years, which would be preferable actually. But to understand the rationality and the justification of where I get all of those numbers and why it's possible, and actually not just possible, that it is a reasonable expectation that it will create so many jobs, go to the video that I'm going to link below in the description, where I made a video just dedicated to the issue of the Angola to South Africa pipeline. All of these projects, by the way, I hope it goes without saying that we would have to exempt all of these projects from meeting any form of BEE requirements, especially for the construction phase. The most important thing for any of these projects is that they are completed on time, under budget, within design parameters. So which means that BEE considerations would have to be waived if possible. But if there is a tender for construction for those projects that is led by a consortium of black companies that meet the specs, by all means. The only thing that we consider here is merit. We are not concerned about transformation goals, especially when it comes to the construction of projects of this magnitude, and not when we have an unemployment rate of 33% in our country. That is totally unacceptable. Go check the video down below. It will be listed on the list as video number 2. Number 3, I discussed the issue of the importance of that all of these builds, which is the nuclear build and the petroleum refinery build, will result in South Africa producing excess of energy, and then discussing there in video number 3 that South Africa then will become a net exporter of energy. Because then some people might wonder that what are we supposed to do with this excess energy, including petroleum industries, petroleum products, chemicals, and including excess electricity. And the expectation is that as a net exporter of energy, we will be exporting energy to Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Swaziland, and the other parts of the SADC region. So look at video number 3, which explains that part. The most important thing here would be that we create thousands of jobs, and energy is very easy to export. Number 4 would be the issue of water infrastructure Especially we focused here on the issue of Johannesburg being the economic hub of South Africa, saying that that entire water system of Johannesburg needs to be replaced completely. And then engaging on that audacious project would require billions of dollars to get done, and it will also create thousands of jobs. There's going to be a video below that explains that it won't necessarily be done by the Johannesburg Metro or the Gauteng province. It will have to be carried out by the national government. And subsequently to that, we even discussed in that video that all of these infrastructures like roads and water and bridges will have to be removed from municipalities that are failing. Unless a municipality has demonstrated enough competence of managing water infrastructure and road bridges and road and water infrastructure, all of that stuff will have to be removed from them. Because the most important thing is to get these things up and running a world-class nation such as ours, South Africa. Point number 5, which also is linked on the description below, is the issue of building 2 large desalination plants in South Africa. And the justification and the rationality of building these 2 plants, which will collectively create 7,000 direct jobs and 16,000 indirect jobs, 14,000 indirect jobs, would be the fact that 90% of the surface water resources are needed by agriculture. So if we can take the surface water resources be directed primarily for agricultural sector, then we can actually lower our dependence on surface water for domestic purposes and commercial purposes towards desalination processes. And the fact that it will also result in 7,000 high-skilled jobs is a very big positive. Engineers, artisans, and also go to the video, which is going to be labeled as video number 5 in the description below, where the rationality and explanation of where we get these numbers from. Each of these plants, which one will be in KZN around Richards Bay or Potchefstroom or Margate, one will be in the Eastern Cape around Umtata or East London, will all produce 1 million cubic meters of water per day, creating 7,000 direct jobs in total and 14,000 indirect jobs. Check the video below. I've already said that the excess amount of water that will come from desalinating would mean that surface water sources would primarily focus on agriculture. And agriculture here is being identified also in passing as one of the key potential creators of employment in South Africa that are currently not being tapped. But that is a topic for another video and a topic for another day. Number 6, roads and bridges in Johannesburg. We noted in the video that we're going to link below that 80% of bridges in Johannesburg are not in a good condition for use. And we also note in this video that I'm going to link below some of the conditions that led to that. And we also discussed the potential of job creation if immediately billions of dollars are put aside to maintain all of these Johannesburg bridges and how much jobs will be created. And also noting that the Johannesburg Road Agency will have to be removed from the city of Johannesburg and be put under SANRAL. Because what happens is that they are not managing these roads and bridges, they are just chowing money. And then we go to the point of saying the railway infrastructure, and we focused our attention of Johannesburg Railway, which in particular is Gautrain, that the Gautrain network will have to be expanded all over Gauteng, with one particular focus in Johannesburg being that it needs to include 4-ways, because 4-ways road infrastructure is being overburdened by all of this traffic, being the worst traffic jam that is seen anywhere in the country. Then we said that the Gautrain infrastructure would have to be expanded to the areas of Rustenburg, Delmas, Witbank, and Hartbeespoort because of their importance in economic activity of the country. And that will also create thousands of jobs, both direct and indirect. So in total, all of these projects, all of them, at something between 2 and 2.5% of economic growth, resulting in the creation of 135,400 jobs. That is not all. I will discuss more actions that have to be done in subsequent videos in coming weeks and coming months. But anything like this that would create 135,000 jobs would take our economy from a GDP growth of 0.1% to an economic GDP growth of around 2.5%. That is more than 1,000% increase. It's actually quite incredible. It's incredible. Okay, maybe not 1,000%, but more than 500%. I need to confirm that. But anyways, so I just wanted to go through this, and I'm going to link all of these videos before so that you know that I'm not just opining and criticizing and saying, oh no, that's a bad idea, oh no, that's a bad idea, without any good ideas myself. These are the ideas, I'm putting them out there. Look at them, evaluate them, read about them, critique them, comment, and tell me what you think about them. And then what is very important for me going forward also that I still want to discuss is the issue of fiscal policy. I haven't touched on that because fiscal policy alone can add another 1% to 1.5% of economic growth. And then there are other industrial issues that I still would like to discuss, such as like rebuilding our manufacturing base, especially the issue of pharmaceuticals, electronics, commercial goods, fast-moving commercial goods, issues about how to beneficiate our minerals, especially issues around platinum. Those are the issues, once properly delineated, could actually add up to 4% to 5% of economic growth. And it's actually doable, which is why I'm saying that can we just stop talking about corruption, stop talking about issues that are not important. The important things are these things that I'm talking about. These things. With that said, without further ado, I'll see you on the next one, folks. Let me know what you think. I'm going to link all of these videos below because this short video does not even come close to covering the rationality, the justification, the economic explanation, the scientific justifications of all of these actions. And that is done on the videos that I'm going to link below, which I did in the past couple of weeks and months. Thank you very much. See you on the next.